All right, factoring polynomials. Okay, so now we're getting into the undo operation of distributing. In other words, we're going to undistribute. And instead of calling it undistribute, we call it factoring. Let's just begin with the first one here. We have 3x minus 18. So we need to undistribute this. In other words, our answer is going to have a parentheses in it. And so the way to do this is we look at the numeric part and we say, okay, there's a 3 and there's an 18. What number can I divide out of 3 and 18? And you're probably already thinking it, it's 3. So we're going to undistribute the 3. So we're going to go ahead and put the 3, and then we're going to do open parentheses here. Okay? Now, if we can imagine and think backwards here, what was the 3 multiplied by with to get the first term here, 3x? So 3 times what is 3x? X. 3 times x is 3x. Okay? What about minus 18? So we know it's going to be minus a number here. 3 times what number would give me 18? And so then, you know, it's 6. So 3 times 6 is 18. So we just undistributed this polynomial. Or in other words, we just factored this polynomial, okay? We factored out the monomial. The monomial here is 3. If I were to distribute this, 3 times x, I get 3x, and then 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. So I get the expression above. Let's do the next one here. Notice here, 25 and 10, I can factor what number out of this? And that's right, that's a 5. Notice the variables, they have no variables in common, so no variables can be factored out here. So I'm going to go ahead and factor out of 5, because 5 goes into 10, and 5 goes into 25. So we're going to go ahead and write down the 5, and then put parentheses there. Okay, so how many times does 5 go into 25? 5 times. In other words, 5 times 5 is 25, minus what? 5 times 2x is going to give me the 10x. Okay? And that's it. We're done. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. So we have here a 12 and an 8. I know 2 goes into both of those, but let's see if a 4 can go into both of these as well. Yes, 4 could go into 12 3 times, and 4 could go into 8 twice. Now notice here the variables, they both have a variable in common. So for the variables, it's actually much easier than the numeric portion. For the variable, to find out what they have in common, you just get the variable with the lowest exponent. So here we have an x in common. So there's 2 x's here being multiplied. There's just a single x, so they both have a single x in common. So my monomial is going to be 4x, and then I open my parentheses. Okay? So now 4x times what is 12x squared? Well, I know 4 times 3 is 12, so I need a 3 there, and then x times x is going to give me the x squared. Remember, we're just undistributing here. And then over here we have minus, so 4 times negative 2 is going to be 8, and then we already had an x here, so that'll give me 8x. Notice, if I put an x right here, I would be incorrect, because then I would have 4x times 2x would give me 8x squared. And that's not what I have there, I just have an 8x. Okay? Next examples. Here we have some bigger numbers here, but notice 6 goes into both of these. Okay? And it's written in a way we're not used to seeing, where the x squared is over here on the right side. Usually it goes first. So we know this is not written in standard form, but it's okay. Let's just leave it like this and factor it. Okay? So I'm going to say, okay, so I can factor out a negative 6 here. And so I'll have negative 6. And then I'll have inside here just 6, because negative 6 times 6 is 36. Now, I need to end up with a positive 42x squared. So I know that if I multiply a negative times a negative, I end up with a positive. So negative 6 times negative 7x squared is going to give me the correct expression here. So let's double check. Negative 6 times 6 is negative 36. And then negative 6 times negative 7x squared is going to give me the positive 42x squared. Next one. Notice here we have another one with double variables. So I look at the 3 and the 5, and I can't think of anything that goes into both of those numbers other than 1. So that means that these are prime. So no other number other than 1 is going to go into them, so that means 1 is the biggest number we can factor. What about the variables? Well, x and x to the 4th, we always get the one with the smallest exponent, so it's just going to be an x. So 1x that we can factor out. So we go ahead and leave open parentheses here. And we're going to go ahead and see what we need to multiply the x by to get 3x to the 4th. So I definitely need a 3. And then I need x to the 3rd power, okay? Because I remove 1 from each one, and so I'm left with 3 right there. So when I multiply x times 3x cubed, I get 3x to the 4th. Next, x times negative, and I needed just a 5. So x times negative 5 is going to give me the negative 5x, and that's it. Done with that one. Okay, a couple more. Notice here, now we have double variables here where we have an x and a y. Over here, we just simply have a y. So they definitely don't have an x variable in common, but they do have y. So that's what's going to be the monomial that we factor out. So again, we go with the smallest exponent of the variables that they have in common. So it's just a y. And so then we have x squared here. That'll give me the y x squared, or x squared y, minus, and then here I'm going to just have y squared. Now this happens to be a difference of squares, which we're not going to get into right now, but this can still be factored further, okay? And I'll get to that in a different video. For now, let's finish up this last example here, and then I'll make another video for the other examples. So here we have y to the 2nd power minus y to the 3rd. Notice they both have y's, and the smallest exponent is the 2, so I'm going to factor out a y squared. Open the parentheses there, and then we're left with what? Y squared times what is going to give me y squared? Just a 1, because I already have y squared. So if I multiply by anything else other than 1, I'm going to get something different. So I just need to multiply by 1, so I could end up with the same thing. Okay? Minus, and then here we have y squared times what is going to give me y to the 3rd. Well, I need one more y. Okay? And so that's how you factor out monomials first.